Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. You know, at this point, it's honestly impressive how consistently everything the left touches turns to total crap. It's like some kind of reverse Midas touch, except instead of gold, everything they touch turns to you-know-what. It instantly implodes in a spectacular fireball of embarrassment, from Bud Light to Disney, from defund the police to whatever social justice scam they're cooking up next. It all just backfires. That's the common denominator here. You know, the modern left isn't good at much. No, it seems like the only thing they're good at these days is fafoing and fafoing hard. Playing stupid games and then winning stupid prizes. You know, at this point, you'd think that by now they'd learn a little bit of humility, maybe even take a step back and have a moment to really look within themselves. But nope, they just keep doubling down on the same stupid, and the results are always the same. Pain, humiliation, and most importantly, taking massive, big, fat L's. Which of course brings us to today's story, the left's absolute dumpster fire of an attempt at crashing Tesla stock. You know, that was obviously the goal, just as Tim Walz suggested.
They've got that little stock app. I added Tesla to it to give me a little boost during the day. 225 and dropping.
We're gonna tank this great American company was basically the message. And we saw all these people on Reddit who are attempting to capitalize a massive campaign to short Tesla stock and make all kinds of millions of dollars as they take down the fascist overtake of democracy. Well, let's just say it didn't turn out the way they expected. No, the leftoids are losing their Starbucks money, and some of them are losing their entire net worth, their life savings, as Tesla is now making a V-shaped recovery, rebounding right back, and the people shorting the stock are now getting rinsed. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so just like I said in the intro, a bunch of these Reddit brain leftoids got together and formed a new phenomenon here, the activist investor. They thought that they could play hero by shorting Tesla stock as some sort of moral crusade against Elon Musk, and now they're watching their money go up in flames as the stock is now rocketing back up.
Tesla shares are higher so far this morning. The automaker attempts to start the week in the green, and it comes after a difficult 2 months that saw Tesla shares drop for 9 consecutive weeks, its worst streak ever. Shares are higher here this morning by about 6%. Of course, a surprise town hall meeting that was taking place last week where Elon made a plea to, and not just employees, but also shareholders of the company to not sell their stock. And so that certainly was rattling through the mindset of some of the investors out there on Friday and perhaps over the weekend a little bit more.
And it does appear, in looking at the flows, that some of this is retail investor activity. We do have significant volume on Tesla this morning as well, so this has a little bit of conviction behind it when you see this move to the upside of 6%. I mean, it continues to fascinate me covering this stock because it is a company that does not tend to move on fundamentals, because we're about to talk to you about a company that beat out Tesla, leapfrogging Tesla's revenue. That was BYD. You would think that that type of headline, which is based on numbers and facts and fundamental news, would be something that would put pressure on a company like Tesla. But you have CEO Elon Musk telling investors to get in, investors to keep their stock, and you're seeing that exact action playing out in the price action today when it comes to Tesla.
Tesla just posted a massive 10% jump, one of its biggest single-day gains since Donald Trump won the election. Yeah, the stock is blasting off. And it's funny because it seems the inflection point was actually the Tim Walz clip. He was celebrating that the stock was down to the low 220s. And well, I guess the moment he said that, that was the cue to start buying the stock. The moment that backfired, we saw a total reversal, and now the stock's above $280 a share. And this, of course, comes after reports that the Trump administration may exclude specific EV tariffs while applying reciprocal trade measures, which of course is bullish for Tesla. And so obviously there's going to be some significant buying power here, especially after the leftoids beat down the stock 40+% earlier this year. What you're seeing essentially is a textbook buy the dip moment, which is obviously something that these leftoid activist investors don't understand so well, because they're not trading based on fundamentals. No, they're trading based on emotions and political vendettas. I mean, just look at Reddit. These people were literally cheering on vandalism against Tesla dealerships, celebrating the attacks, deluding themselves into thinking that their little tantrum would take down $1 trillion company. But spoiler alert, it didn't. All they did was give institutional traders the perfect setup to rinse these morons dry. It's typical trading 101. Whatever the sentiment out there that's being pushed, the big dogs are probably going to do the exact opposite. They're probably going to take advantage of that opportunity, especially when you got all of these leftist lunatics putting all this money into shorting the stock, thinking it's going to go down forever, that keying a couple Teslas and vandalizing a couple Tesla dealerships is going to do the trick. Yeah, they may have deluded themselves into thinking that, but the institutional traders, the big dogs, they're viewing this as the perfect opportunity. In fact, they probably played into it, driving the stock further and further and further below, giving them the perfect opportunity to buy at a discount and absolutely rinse the short sellers. I mean, they really thought that they were starting something here. That's the funniest part. They thought that they were going to ignite some sort of mass movement to financially punish Elon Musk and take down the entire company. But they forgot one key component: reality. It's Goya Foods all over again. Remember that, right? The left tried to cancel Goya Foods after the CEO praised Donald Trump and endorsed him. They were going to take down this evil, terrible, racist company. Yeah, nothing says racist white supremacist company like Goya Foods, the Hispanic bean company. But what ended up happening with Goya? Goya ended up making record profits. They were sold out pretty much everywhere. The Streisand effect kicked in, and the left, I think, should have learned at that moment that they aren't the cultural powerhouse that they think they are. No, rather, they're an extreme radical minority that has very little cultural influence outside of Los Angeles or a couple New York City boroughs. In other words, Reddit isn't the real world. And again, they should have learned that lesson after the whole Bud Light incident. They should have learned that they truly are the minority, that they're not the ones in the driver's seat, they're not the ones with the cultural power. We are. They just don't seem to get it. Their ideas are unpopular, their cultural influence is dwindling, their rage-fueled cancel campaigns almost always backfire, and now I think honestly they've turned Tesla into a cultural rallying point, a symbol of rebellion against the deranged authoritarian mob. In my view, Tesla's now cooler than ever before, especially with young people who are more right-wing than any generation in decades. Well, what do you think that means for the future? You think people are going to stop buying Tesla? No, young people are extremely conservative, especially young men, and so Tesla is now more of a cultural institution than ever before as the next generation is now growing up, taking over, and that likely bodes well for the company moving forward. And I think a lot of people are starting to see that. And at the end of the day, to be honest, none of it really matters. The politics, the emotion, none of it matters. All that matters are the fundamentals and speculation. You know, sure, a couple leftist weirdos generated some momentary shaky grounds for Tesla stock, but as a whole, it changes nothing. The institutional traders are still looking at Tesla, thinking it could hit $2,600 a share. At least that's what Cathie Wood said recently.
Tesla will launch its robotaxi service commercially in Austin, Texas in June. That is when analysts are going to have to put into their models what a robotaxi service is. And it's a software as a service model. Right. Very high margin, 80% plus for platform companies, whereas the electric vehicle is 15, 20, 25% gross margin. So we think that robo-taxis will account for 90% of the value of the company in 5 years. And we're on record saying we believe in 5 years the stock will hit $2,600.
And of course, that's because the traders are looking at what the company is actually doing. They're taking into account the new robotaxi project launch in Austin, Texas, which of course, if it takes off, if it's a successful launch, well, we're talking about game-changing innovation here. And at that point, Tesla is not just bouncing back. We're talking about this company redefining the way transportation works. That's what the investors are looking at. Not, oh my God, someone wrote Elon is Nazi scum at the Tesla dealership in New York City. Sell the stock, sell it all. I mean, come on. These leftoids, I'm telling you, they're experts in fafoing. They're experts in shooting themselves in the frickin' foot. And this is yet again another example. So go ahead, you unhinged leftoids. Keep trying to sabotage things that you don't understand. Keep burning your money chasing your woke fantasies. Nice try. You tried it, but now you're broke and, maybe better luck next time. I guess the $7 Starbucks soy lattes are going to need to be financed now. Put them on the credit card. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys. The leftoids got rinsed, and once again, they've learned a very important lesson that they aren't who they think they are. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.